Good morning and welcome. So today's subject's pretty hot and I'm very excited about it because we're going to dive into who are you? Who are you as an artist, as a hairdresser? And who do you want to attract? And who are the clients that sit in your chair? Do they really know how to be the best version of themselves? So today, as we dive into the physical aspect of face shape, understanding how to design to age, understanding how to design to lifestyle. We're also going to go deeper than that. We're going to talk about the know-it-all client, the client who's not trusting you and how to navigate through that. And we're going to also look at the end of this as to how you score. What is your scoring in terms of your ability to communicate, share an idea, visualize a beautiful hairstyle on your guest, and actually get the right look on the right person? So today is not about doing perfect haircuts. It's about your eye to identify the best fashion and style. I asked our members to submit any of their clients that they had questions about or just get a review. And the person who sent in the most, and we're going to celebrate her in a little moment, is Misti Walker. So Misti's going to be here. She submitted some really great images of her clients, and she's becoming known as the makeover queen. And we're going to talk about how you really do build your brand and also fall in love with what you do, because to maintain something, it has to be authentic to you. And you can't copy somebody else. Otherwise, you are stressing yourself out trying to be something you're not. And that gets really tedious and tiring. So it's about, as much as today is about discovering the best looks for your guests, it's also the best look for you, because you cannot give what you don't have. So these are the three most important things you need to know. And never, ever forget the three primary emotions that women feel and are most important to them. And the number one is feeling safe. Safe sitting in your chair, safe with the recommendations that you're giving, just feeling safe, which obviously is wrapped up into trust and care. So we have to do like a little evaluation today. So if we were going to do a score of 10, kind of follow along with me. How safe do you allow your clients to feel? How safe do you feel with the clients, right? Just let me know in the chat. How does that rank for you? The next thing is to be seen. A woman needs to feel like she's being seen. So if you're like, oh, come on in, sit down. Yeah, okay. Take my 3 o'clock if you don't mind putting her over there. Oh, and by the way, la la la. And oh, I'll be with you in a moment. Oh, okay, the same as last time. Okay, great. She didn't feel seen. Connecting is so important. And then to be heard, to be really, really heard. Are you interpreting or are you really, really hearing? So these should be our pillars of everything we do, which become amplified when you have a resisting client and amplified when you're working with a fence sitter. So those are two challenging ladies in terms of personality type. The visionary, she's a visionary. And if you paint a beautiful picture, she's going to go along with your vision, or she's going to inspire you. So you may be thinking, well, Viv, how do I attract visionaries into my life? You've got to be one. If you get a lot of resistors sitting in your chair, the first place to look, which is the most painful place, is to yourself. What are you resisting? Are you open to advice? Are you easy to coach? Do you have a very strong opinion so nobody else's opinion counts? I'm sure you know hairdressers who are very strong, maybe a very powerful alpha female, and they may attract those tough resistor, know-it-all clients. So how many of you can relate to that? Just let me know in the chat whether you can go, oh yeah, Viv, I really get that one. So let's just get this chat going so we get some life here and some action. So the hot seat today is Misti Walker. And what we're going to do today is look at some of Misti's clients, and we're going to take a deep dive into the looks that she's created and really do a bit of a tear down, and a tear down in a very positive way so that we can learn how to do what we do better. So let's dive into this. And let's first of all, I'm going to bring Misty in a moment, but first of all, let's just take a look at this lovely lady here. So you can see that this lady has volume in the lower part of the face. Now, until you take all the hair away from the face and you can see the shape of the hairline, and then when you pull it tight, the shape of the head, we're guessing right now. And until we speak to Misty, which we will in a moment, we won't know whether her skull is round or oval or if she's narrowly pitched. But she does look as though, number one, she has an oval head. And number two, the volume in the top of the head is much smaller than the volume at the lower part. Now, a very angular pair would be the triangle, where it's a chiseled, very strong jawline. And there are a lot of beautiful models and celebrities with that very strong angular. But this is round, 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 round. So that makes it a big difference. So you could say, well, Viv, doesn't she have a round face shape? Yes, the lower part of the face is round in a pear, but the upper part on a round is round too, with a round head, a wide head, where a pear is narrow here. And pears are very, very common, and they can be quite tricky to work with because very often you'll have the volume here, and as a lady ages, the neck starts to thicken, and then it goes from the face straight into the neck so that there is no definition around the jawline anymore. So then you have to ask yourself, do you hide or do you lift? And that's going to be the conversation today. So the first thing we do, rather than get jammed up, oh, is she a square? Is she an oval? Is she a pear? This is the first thing to do, your measurement. So you know we do this first before we pick up our tools. So we go 1, 2, 3, and in this case, 4. So look at the proportions here. The jawline and the 2 and 3 are almost the same distance, but 1 and 4 are the narrowest. So what do you do with that? It's actually a mathematical equation of rebalancing because the architecture of the face shape is all based on geometry. Squares, rounds, pears, it's all geometric shapes. So you can see here that this proportion is off. So you're either going to elongate by lengthening the hair and shadowing through there. And you're then either going to be through color, making zone 1 lighter, or in zone 1, more volume, or even in zone 1, elevating at the parting to give a lift just at the very, very front. Those subtle things can really work. And when I say lift, sometimes it can be 1/4 of an inch. That makes a difference. 1/2 an inch can make a difference. An inch is pretty big. So that's how I would look at that. So let's now move on. So when I look at this lady, I go, right, let's now these illustrations, by the way, are from the app that we're currently developing, and you guys are going to be the first ones to know about it because you're part of my tribe. So we have created all these illustrations based on face shape. So these are the illustrations for the pear. So when we look at this, you can see that this hairstyle, now based on the texture of the hair and obviously the density of the hair, we would know whether this is going to work or not. But this lady looks like she's got lovely hair, so she could take this. But then the other huge consideration is body shape. And if you've got somebody who is an apple or a pear, or they're just carrying extra weight, then you've got to always balance and think, right, is her head going to look so tiny in relationship to the size of the body? So that's your other huge consideration. So obviously, whenever I'm working with a client, I always look at them standing up. I have them hold the back mirror so that they can look at their reflection in the mirror. So they're not staring directly, but indirectly. It's a little bit kinder. And they can see what you're talking about. Remember, at the end of the day, if you want to be a 5-star hairdresser, which is what I'm actually talking about today, then you have to have a routine. And that routine is voguing around the face. That routine is standing the client up to look at her body type and determine where the length should park, not only on the face, but on for the body. And that has to be part of your new habit. So for a habit to stick, whatever you've done in the past that stopped you from standing your client up, from voguing around the face, whatever has stopped you in the past, probably is time and the habit of sitting the client down and getting that consult done as quickly as you can so you can get into the shampoo bowl and off you jolly well go. Many hairdressers don't even talk to the client sitting in the chair. They take her right over to the backwash and then they start the consultation. So there's many different styles, but let's talk about what works. So if right now you don't vogue around the face, if right now you don't stand your client up, what could be your trigger? Could it be that the chair is pushed in a little bit into your station so that you can have the client stand up and you've got more space? I'm throwing ideas right now. Could it be that you have a post-it note or some decal on your mirror that says total look, and that's your cue to remember, yeah, total look, total look. Whatever it is, you need an external stimulus to say, whoa, I've got to do this in order to create the new habit. A habit doesn't just happen. Habits are things that you have in your life that happen without any thought. It's an action you do that's repetitive. So clearly, as stylists, we need to have lots and lots of habits that serve us, right? But if that habit doesn't serve us, we have to replace it. So it means removing what did not work and adding what does work. And you're going to have to do it for at least 21 days to start letting it stick, right? So maybe that will be your commitment for August, right? Just to do that. So anyway, you can see here how this will balance in terms of the face shape. So at this point, I want to just bring into our conversation here Misti. So let me just find her. And let's get some feedback here about Misti's client. Just have to find Misti, 1 second. Welcome, Misti.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing good, doing really good today.
Good, good. Well, you are definitely the makeover queen. And with this lady, just tell us a little bit about her hair texture, first of all.
Well, she has very straight hair. It's fine, but she has a lot of it.
And does she have any color in her hair?
Yes, there's some red highlights in there that I had put in. This was her picture after we got done coloring her hair.
Okay, all right.
So we put a few highlights in there, and then I darkened it up because it had a lot of really old hair color on there, and so we wanted to richen it up a little bit too as well.
Okay, great, great. So now when we look at the hairstyles that from a science perspective of balance and proportion will work for this lady's face, we're not taking into consideration her personality. We are not taking into consideration right now the quality of her hair, although Misti's just given us some good information. But we're looking just scientifically at a structure of a face. This is not an opinion. This is science. The science of proportion is the golden rule of design. So if this lovely lady was to have a soft perm, she could certainly sport this, because you can see when we look, you could see how her face would fit into this hairstyle and she would look less full in her face shape. Do you see that, Misti?
Yes, yes.
So now as we go through here, closing the face. So one is open and lift, whether it's a tuck, whether it's just pushed off of the face. This is an open and a lift, and this is a close down. Now, this again would work if she had a very soft perm, if she had a little bit of dimension in her hair with like the ends tipped and these layers. But as Misti said, her hair is fine. It could possibly collapse, and it would maybe look fabulous when Misti's cut her hair and taken a photograph. But then the reality is how much can the longevity of the style, that's the huge thing there. Misti, would her hair texture wise do this?
As I tried to curl it, within minutes, it just drooped.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah,
this would be a
yeah.
no-no. This would be a no-no. But a lady with a different face, this face shape with different hair is certainly a consideration. So here we have even more curl within the hair and more volume. Here would be a no. Do you know why I would say no, Misty, to this one?
I feel that maybe that the fringe and stuff, her hair wouldn't be able to emphasize it because it would just clump together.
Mm-hmm. My reason to say no was I believe this belongs on a very young, hip girl.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Young and hip.
And a
And
smaller body.
yeah, and definitely has more body, but it's a youthful hairstyle that if it's put on a person who is not edgy and cool, the hairstyle doesn't have the magic anymore. You know,
Right.
so that's the important thing there. This again, movement. I was very drawn to movement for this lady to distract away from the volume in the face, right? So again, Missy said her hair does not do this. So the only way to do it would be in a perm to really get that bounce and performance. And also then would she want to be a wash and wear kind of girl? That would be the other consideration because this could absolutely be wash and go. Now, could it be a root perm? Could it just simply be a root perm with soft ends? Could it be a piggyback perm, a small rod at the base, a large rod at the in the mid for the from the middle to the end of the hair, so you have a tighter base and you have a lazy movement through there? Could she have a weave perm? So this is interesting, although it would be very difficult to do on longer hair. But imagine for a moment, my friends, that we had a client whose hair was the length of this photograph, this illustration. Imagine, you remember the caps, Misty, where we would put the cap on the head and pull the highlights through, and they would look like a hedgehog. Remember those painful days? Right.
Oh,
Yeah. So if the hair was this length, Misty, on this lady, and you pulled the hair through a cap and then permed that hair that was pulled out, what that would do is that when her hair drops down, she's got invisible bounce in her hair. It's hidden in amongst her own natural texture. So that's another creative way that you could go with that. And Rachel's asking, Viv, what product do you use for a root perm? I would probably use something stronger than a curl colt. I love curl colt because you can use metal in the hair and you have so much creativity. So the only way I would use curl colt would be on a very, very small perm rod so that you could really get that drama out of it. And I think that would work very, very well. So let's move on. So her hair's not too far away from this again, but the problem is she collapses quickly. She's the collapse client. So you can have that client clearly who's got incredible texture, but the moment she goes outside, everything collapses because of the humidity. So we all know those challenges with the hair. So again, with this, could it be, i.e., another way of thinking about a perm, Misty, to weave, do a weave section, leave out the hair that you've woven, you then perm, you take your next section, so you leave that out, then you take your next section and perm that, and therefore you are weave perming the hair. And that could be another way of doing it. So my suggestion would be, and this would be a great exercise for all of you, if you took a mannequin head and divided it into quarters, and on one side you do just a root perm. On the other side, you do a piggyback, smaller root, looser end. On the other back of the head, you could just do a weave it out and perm it. And on the fourth section, just leave it natural. Do the quadrants and then photograph it. And then you will see, wow, this did this did that, because you've got to become familiar with texture, the way you're familiar with an ombre. When you did your first ombre, you didn't just nail it the first time. When you did your first ombre, I'm sure many of us, we had some challenges. We had to become skilled at doing an ombre. So this would be the way to do a little bit of a test with her. The other thing one could do, if she was a lady that didn't mind putting in a little bit of effort, would be a mini crimp. To sell her a mini crimp in here, in here, and in here. And then when she brushes her hair through, she's lifting where she tends to collapse, because she's always going to collapse because of the shape of the head. What do you think of those ideas?
I love it.
So obviously this would suit this lady, but her hair will not do this without a perm. And I think we've forgotten about that secret sauce, the perm, and modern ways to perm the hair. Hi, would you like to have access to one of my ebooks in the art of how to become the hairdresser you've always wanted? Check the link below and then we will send you a copy, and I know you'll feel very inspired. Thanks for watching, and PS, don't forget to subscribe, to share, to like with all of your loved ones. Thanks, bye. So now we're going to move on to fashion, age and lifestyle. And I love that these clients of Misti's, because their looks look perfect. And the way she's photographed these ladies is excellent. And you can tell that it's authentic. You can tell that they are happy and they're comfortable. And she's put the right look on the person. Would you agree with my observation, Misti?
Yes, and it's nice to finally get to this level. It's taken a while. It's been a lot of practice, and each time the client comes in, she gets something a little bit newer from when I first met her.
Beautiful.
And it evolves, and it's fun to watch them. And as it evolves, they get more comfortable and more happy.
So the next stage for Misti would be, do you mind dressing up for me the next time you come in? Because I want to take some pictures of you. Do you mind dressing up? Why don't you have a hot date after this? Because I'm going to make you look so amazing. So you can see these ladies have not crawled in with a hoodie and a t-shirt. And Misti and I had a conversation around t-shirts. T-shirts can be sometimes a very unflattering item to wear. A round neck on any lady who's got volume in her neck or her jawline, the round neck emphasizes it. Those ladies need these, or they need a drop in the front to elongate from the chin through to the chest. So she's now attracting ladies that actually are dressed nicely, they're looking great. And years ago, when I first met Misti, her guests were not looking like this. So she's subconsciously been training them. But now I say to Misti, I want you to consciously train them now, because in the beginning, I don't feel that Misti believed enough in her talent. And I believe now she's embracing it, where in the beginning, there was a little bit of the imposter syndrome. And I believe now you're slaying that dragon. Am I right, Misti?
Yes, yes.
So what we're going to do now is look at beauty, fashion, and lifestyle. And as you know, we have these three wheels. So for my friends who are new to my world, I developed this when I was on a photo shoot. And when I was on a photo shoot, I was working with fashion directors and so on and so forth. And I was working with all these people. And I was having a total disaster on set. I was doing hair that I thought was good. I did hair that I could do, clearly. It had nothing to do with the story of the editorial. It had nothing to do with the vision, the fashion, anything. I just did my thing like a bubble. And when you think about this, when you see amazing photographs, the reason they're amazing is because the hair, the makeup, the model, the clothing, the style of photography, the angle, they all are cohesive. They all work together. So you have an amazing photograph. I was doing ridiculous things. And so I was crying a lot in the bathroom. I was having my moment and I felt quite useless. And then I realized, how feminine am I making this lady look? Never thought about that, never trained in it. What is the fashion statement? Is she coming in wearing a hoodie, or is she coming in dressed very elegantly? What's the fashion statement? And how big or small should that be? Is she a whisper rock and roll, or is she screaming rock and roll and tattooed and all that stuff? So I started to use this in my working on fashion shows, working on photo shoots. And I started to realize, oh my gosh, this brings everything together. And it transformed my world. And I thought, how can I teach this? Because I hadn't named it this way at that time. And then I thought, there is a way to teach style. And that's how this whole thing was born. So we just want to bring in this little girl here, and we're going to bring Misti back. And Misti, tell me about this lovely lady.
Well, that's her after picture, and she has very thick, curly hair. And it was in a shoulder length bob, and it was very bushy. And she brought in a couple of pictures, and she filled out the consultation form. And with her, she wanted to, she was kind of boyish, that she said. She wanted to be a little bit edgy, and she wanted it to kind of shout with texture. She wanted that kind of movable hair. And so I did a razor cut, and it's heavily razored in there, but her hair is so thick that it's hard to see the texture. And the best thing about it is I was doing her mom's hair on the same appointment time. And after I got it, it was all natural curly and air dried, but had a lot of texture to it. So it kind of stood out. And as she started to play with it, her fingers, she kept running them through and shaking her head and bouncing it. It was so fun to watch her kind of vogue with it. And then I realized that next time I need to do a little, because she's a pear face, I need to take a little bit more out of the sides and do a little bit more razoring it. But she's just absolutely adorable, and watching her, she reminded me of my niece so much.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
Vicky is saying she has not done a perm in 10 years. Vicky, you can go to Viv Unplugged, and all of those videos are actually there. And you would have to go, if you're going to do a perm with Curl Cult, you'd have to go to Curl Cult and get certified so you can actually have the product. But it's worth it, because I think we're missing a huge creative pocket here in terms of that. So the reason I wanted to bring this lovely lady into the story here is that she's young. She's, again, got a lovely round face. I don't know what her forehead is, but she looks more like a round as opposed to a pear. Am I correct? Because her head looks bigger.
Well, it's the hair too, but when we looked at her and we worked on it, her cheeks kind of came out, and she is narrowly pitched, and that's why I was trying to make it fuller up on top
Okay.
with
All
it.
right.
So,
Okay. That's good.
yeah.
That's good. Okay. So with somebody like this, when you're dealing with youth has a whole different set of rules, because you're not having to worry about, oh, well, I don't want to age, because she's young. So when you're young, I push the fashion wheel the most, because that's that sense of belonging to the tribe, or being a rebel. I push that, but the other thing I'm very sensitive to is how confident are they as a young lady, and do they want to scream? Do they want to be that rebel, or do they want to be quiet? And then the sensuality, they're still discovering who they are as a woman, right? We spend our life trying to discover who we are as a woman, but in our youth, being sexy could either be, yeah, I'm going to do that, or it could be very dangerous if you don't know how to manage it, right? Or it could be that they're very shy because they don't have that Victoria's Secret's body. And so they're like, I'm going to close down. So there can be a lot of sensitivity around that, more than face shape. Is face shape always important? Of course. But when you're dealing with someone 35 plus, the aging process is already on its journey, right? And so therefore, making a woman look more youthful. I've never met a 35-year-old say to me, could you make me look older? I've met a 19-year-old that says, I want to look older. I've met a 16-year-old that says, I want to look older. When they hit 21, it's okay. I'm okay this age. Age is such an issue for for women more than men. And so when we're looking at youth, I push the fashion part as much as I can. I'm very sensitive and respectful to the sensuality aspect. And I want to know personality-wise, how confident are they? Are they just so bold out there? So then let's put that expression into your hair. Now's not the time to play it safe. That would be my mindset around something like that. So what I want to do here is just talk to you for a moment before we get into the next girl, is about being so aware of the opening and the closing of the face. And here's just a really good example. So let me just come in here full screen for a moment. So when we're looking at this here, just bring her over. You can see that side that's closed down gives a little bit more length to the face because it's elongating. The side where it has the lift and the open, the eyebrow looks higher. If we saw the cheekbone, we would see that it's actually higher in the cheekbone, and we've elevated the jawline. So we've done three things here. We've raised the front to raise the eyebrow. We've opened the cheekbone, lifting the cheekbone, and we're lifting the jaw. Can you all see that? Because that's really very, very profound. So when you look at your styling, for those of you who've been in the designer program, you know that the first term of what we do is this: open, close the face. How do we move the hair around? And what's the consequence of a center parting? What's the consequence of a side? And what's the consequence of just taking everything away from the face? So you can see that anytime you do a center parting, it's like an arrow to the nose and an arrow to the chin. Anytime you do a side parting, you're going to be able to create the asymmetry within the style, which is very flattering to a lot of geometric shapes that are heavy in the jawline. So that's really very important. So today, just think about clients coming in and really just ask yourself again, and this is part of your voguing around the face. When you're voguing around the face, you're saying, right, if I close this down, do I increase the beauty? If I elevate up, do I increase the beauty? So you're always looking at moving around. Feel that when you vogue around the face, you're a sculptor. You're sculpting, you're moving shapes. I would never, ever do anyone's hair without doing that. I don't care whether she's like the most gorgeous model or whether she's a lady who's 70 years old, who's just aging with grace. I will always vogue around the face. Think today of how you can make that a habit for you. Well, if you're a hairdresser, you need to listen to this advice I'm going to give you. But I'm going to start off with a question. Where would you be in your career if right now you did nothing other than what you're doing right now? Would you be growing, or would your career be flatlining or even dropping down? One thing I know is that we always have to invest in ourselves. When we put that investment, we should see a huge return financially, creatively, confidence, etc. I have created training that literally is transforming lives. And yes, it requires an investment of time and money. And very often when people say to me, oh, Viv, I don't have time, you're letting an excuse, a reason get in the way of your greatness, because we always have to invest. When we set a goal, a great goal has to have a plan and a strategy, and my training provides that for you. A great goal means a shift, a change in what you're doing now, because where you want to go is different from where you are right now. So investing in education is vital, and having a mentor who's been there and done it and proven themselves is the most important thing. So check out my credentials, right? So we have programs where we encourage you to invest in your time and your money in something that is going to guarantee and give you an incredible result. In fact, I have hairdressers who have increased their income by 50% in a very short period of time. So do you want to join the party? Well, come on in. So let's look at this lovely lady. We'll bring Misti back in a moment. And this lovely lady here, one of Misti's clients, I just want to know from you, what do you see in the difference between the longer hair for her face shape and her hair coming up to the bob length? What do you see has happened to the face shape? And I'm just going to bring Misti back in.
The longer hair makes her neck look longer.
Yeah, it does indeed.
Mhm.
It does indeed. Now, there's a story there. This lady obviously got a lot of hair. She wanted something a little bit easier, you were saying, correct? So just give
Yeah,
us the
yeah.
backstory here. And my friends, just in the chat, tell me what you're seeing here. Which hairstyle is more flattering to her face? Go ahead, Misty.
Well, when I look at when she came in, the one with the longer hair, she reminds me of President Kennedy's wife.
Yes, yes, yes.
And I really liked it, but her hair is so thick and so hard for her to manage and to blow dry. And she doesn't like product in her hair. I found that out. And so she wanted it short, and she actually wanted it above her jaw. And I convinced her to keep it right at the jawline. And then she felt that the next time she came in, she even wanted it shorter and not so bubbly. But it's been very interesting to learn with working with the face shape and the length. Visually, it's now been ingrained in my eyes through photography, through listening to you in these programs, and it's making so much more sense so that I will have more verbal authority to give to the clients now.
Yes. So tell me, which profile was your previous guest? Let's go back to her for a second. But what was her profile?
Pretty straight on.
Yeah.
She was pretty straight.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So
Mhm.
when we're looking at the jawline being weak and the jaw going into the neck, we have to be super, super careful, because the only way we can technically really improve the effect is to close and stretch it out a little bit. So Rachel's saying, I think the short is more complimentary, as I think it softens her face. However, I didn't notice the length of the neck, which seems like a compromise would have been made. Yeah, you see, she's obviously the bob is gorgeous. It's more modern. The other hairstyle looks very Jackie O, very sort of 50s and quite fabulous, really. But could this lady have had some long layers and kept her hair the length that it is and just disguised a little bit more, and also through color, popping some peekaboo color at the fringe so the eye keeps going up and not down? Because the most interesting part of the bob haircut is the perimeter line and the sharpness of that line. And therefore you draw more attention to the jawline. But there's more story to be told. So profile, we determined that lady was a straight profile. And this is something I never, ever want you to forget. And this is so powerful. Here, when you look at, well, tell me, Misty, which neck looks the thickest? 1, 2, or 3?
2.
Yes. And so what's happened is we've dropped the hair down into a low pony and we've given more volume to her neck. Now, when you look at number 1, because she's got a pointed chin, and the diagonal line from the pointed chin to the top of the head, it actually emphasizes her point. So when I was doing this training to show this lady her face shape, I was not working on the perfect ponytail. I just was grabbing the hair, pulling it up, and just taking a photograph and showing her. So look at number 3. It looks as though she went for cosmetic surgery. And all I did was I dropped hair onto the forehead. I elevated her jawline, and I took a concave face shape and made it straight just by where I put the weight. So this principle applies to how you color, how you perm, how you cut, how you put hair extension. It applies to everything. It's a shape that should balance with the face shape. So when you're doing something like this, now we go back to this lovely lady, we're looking at how do we balance for the jawline. And if someone's square and we give them a square, we make them more square. Now, clearly, there are times, and I've worked with young models who have very square faces, and they look genius in a very square hairstyle. The squareness was cute, and they pulled it off. But as we age, we will all square a little tiny bit. Even an oval will square out because gravity pulls everything down, right? So I've been amazed at looking at here in New York, the amount of women who are now only doing a neck lift. They don't do anything else, a neck lift, and it takes 20 years off of a woman. It's amazing. Nothing else, anywhere else. Just all of that ear just takes off years. So there's a trend around that, which, you know, if that's what you want to do, great. But not everyone wants to do that. But it's just amazing what happens. So now this lady, we know she's got a thicker neck, and Misti did a very strong line in the back. So both backs, the long back is square. This other back is very strong too. What did you learn about doing this, Misti? Because next time I think you'd want to do something slightly different.
Not as short. It just shouldn't be that short, but it's been really hot here, and she was just really uncomfortable and didn't want to do her hair. And so she actually wanted it shorter, but I convinced her that we needed to leave it a bit longer.
Yeah. So now, did you at any time stand this lady up and have her look at her reflection through the mirror into the big mirror?
We did look in the mirror, but we weren't really, I wasn't focusing on the body. And that's one of the things now I want to start working on, because working with my photos like this, I now understand how to put the whole puzzle together. Because one thing about what we're learning with you, Viv, is that it's this big puzzle, and we have to do repetition over and over and over. And it's a small, slow change. And then as those little changes starts to come, we start to see more of what we need to do for the next time. And then we get better at understanding our whys, why we need to leave this longer, why we should have this cut line for your body shape. And it's all just really stacking up and coming together. So when we get her next haircut, I have my photos and I can sit there and use that as part of the consultation, stand her up, and then we can decide what's going to be best for her.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, and the bottom line of this is it's up to us to train our clients. So when we're looking at this lady here, and you can see that she's got the volume in the lower part of the face, this is where the depth is very, very important, building out that depth, correct? But what I wanted to show is if she had come in through there. So let's go back. There, we would have given her some elongation. Now, I'm personally not a fan of an A-line unless it's on some cool, I've done some amazing ones on Japanese girls. They're cool and edgy and they just rock it. But you have to be so careful with an A-line because it can look like spaniel ears, like these ears in the front, and the back is gone. And if they don't have a gorgeous neck and beautiful shoulders, it just looks like spaniel ears. You have to be very, very careful. But in this case, I think that would have worked very, very well. And my question would be, she's got a lot of hair to handle. What would happen if this was layered out? Would be my question.
Through the consultation and through working with 2 haircuts now, she likes stacking, but she hates layers.
So my question would be, why do you hate the layers? Do you have a photograph of a layered hairstyle that you disliked? Because when somebody has a very strong view, the first thing to do is actually understand and agree. Remember what we said? A woman wants to feel safe, she wants to be seen, and she wants to be heard. So agree. I understand. I agree with that thought process. But may I add something here just add something for your consideration. If we were to do very long layers in here, and the layers were to be blah, 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 it would give you that lift and that pop. So let me ask you, is looking your very best more important or less important than easy and not having to do anything? Because not everyone is as vain as I am. We don't even care, right? But what would happen if, I mean, I have done ladies' hair for a makeover, and I'll never forget this one. She came back to me the next day, and I thought, oh, gee. I was at an event, and it was a big event, and came back the next day, and I thought, oh gosh, I hope where these go. She came back to tell me that her husband loved her hairstyle, and she had sex for the first time in I don't know how many years. It was just way too much information. But she was so thrilled because her husband was attracted to her again. And she said it was my hairstyle. I made her look feminine. I remember it. I made her look very feminine. She looked less masculine. It's funny, right? So this is a very important thing here. So again, let's look at the balance. We educate our clients. That's the important thing here. We look at the ratio. And then you see, if we look at the neck, again, this is our problem area. So when we look at the face, nicely proportioned, very nicely proportioned, lovely, lovely, lovely lady. Neck is a little short. So, you know, a couple of things. Posture. Today, our posture is probably the worst it's ever been throughout mankind because number one, women do not wear corsets. Number two, women, we all spend a lot of time with our head dropped looking at our phone. We as hairdressers tend to be round shouldered and dropped because we're working over our client, which is why I'm always saying open up here and try and be as close to eye level as possible, bending your knees or sitting or whatever it needs to be. But today, round shoulders are bigger and bigger and bigger. So that means we're sinking in as opposed to tall and lifting out like ballerinas, right? So it's the feeling of pulling out. But regardless, that area number 4 is shorter. So now when we look at this and we look at the balance through here, I am wondering, could we have given a little bit more lift at the parting? We've got some nice depth all the way around. And if we were to elongate it, be amazing. And then what illusion around the face could we create to shadow? So could we do like a shadow from the occipital bone all the way through, just one shade deeper, and just shadow that area in? And then with the top, could we add a few little kind of copper highlights or in there, just copperish, and then make that be more glowing. So again, you're thinking about closing and opening as you're going through. So those would be considerations. So your home play between now and when this lovely lady comes back would be to actually pull together a few photographs of long layered hairstyle and just share with her that idea and dig in a little bit deeper. Tell me why the layers didn't work. I'm so interested. It's not attacking her. It's not challenging her. It's like, I'd really love to learn from you right now. A resistor and a know-it-all wants you to listen to them. And someone in their life does not or did not. And when you really listen and you say, gosh, could you tell me a little bit more about that? Oh, that's fascinating. Thank you so much for sharing. You're going along with them, right? And you're giving them no wall to resist. Well, that won't work. Resist. Oh, well, I don't do things like that. Resist. You know, you have to be able to break through that. Just go, that's really interesting. Tell me a little bit more. I need to learn more about that. You don't have to at the end agree. You can say, I understand that you feel that way and I respect that. For me, I see it completely differently. You're not agreeing with them. You know, it's like when someone's narcissistic, the best way of dealing with narcissism is agree with them because they're right in their mind. But at the end of it, you say, but in my world, I would never do that. Or in my world, I would do it this way. You've agreed. They can go and wreck their life. Go for it. But in my world, I do this, right? You don't want to create any barriers, or you want to create bridges, not walls, when you're dealing with difficult people. And I know this lady's not in that category, but it kind of sparked the interest. So now let's look at this lovely lady. She is your quintessential rectangle, right? So tell me a little bit about this lady and her hair.
She's this is my second haircut with her. And when she came in, it was a wreck in all things. And I fixed it, and now we're changing out her color because it was really dark. She likes it to be off her face because she's a massage therapist. She likes it to move and be sassy and edgy. That is a razor cut. It's got a lot of peaks and valleys, but her hair is fine. So there's got to be a little bit, got to be a little careful with that as well. She's a minimalist for styling it and working with it. She's very happy with what we're doing right now.
Okay.
Um, I like where we're at. We got to work on the color a little bit more. We're still
Yes.
working on.
Okay, so these are my thoughts about this lovely, lovely lady. I would like to see more depth where she is narrow, and you say that she's a massage therapist, so her head is down all the time. So clearly the fringe can't be too long, or it's got to be tuckable. So based on that, what I would be saying is that's where she needs the volume, right in there. So those layers, and again, could this be somebody that you could, she's minimal, but if she was to be either taught how to blow dry her hair over her head this way, and then over like a wrap over this way, she'd get that little bit of lift, and it would be even more attractive. Again, people don't know unless you train them and educate them. She would be a good candidate for a mini crimp just in those sections at the same place. Color. To have color being more of a glow at the top, so those pieces come through. But that's where I would be doing that. So guys, Kay, Rachel, Cora, Vicky, do you see what I'm saying here in terms of this? Are you catching this? Because just let me know in the chat whether you are going, oh gosh, yeah, I can see that now, I wouldn't before. So these are hairstyles that would work very well for this lady in terms of being tucked behind the ear, some softness. So even the softness be more irregular, so it doesn't come through as a box. So the next thing is, again, she would be certainly great for a perm. She would definitely do well. And I've given you all these ideas now on different perms. Again, perm, wash and wear. And really a lady like this in this particular world, in the massage therapy world, if you can give them wash and wear, because they're very natural, they're very organic, that would definitely work well for her. Same thing here, would work very, very well. Again, these are all things with movement that she does not have. So it's about looking at what can you do to get the length, internal length a little longer, and what can you do to just give that balance? So this I would not do, because again, she's not an edgy lady. She's more natural, a little bit older. So I wouldn't do something as edgy as this on her. I wouldn't do this one on her either. So at the end of the day, what we're talking about here is the simple things. When you're selecting a style, you've got to look at your face shape by voguing around the face, and your hands and how you move the hair around the face create shapes. And you're looking at the shapes of the hair and what it does for the face. Very often, I will do something where I will show them wrong so they can appreciate right. I'll say, well, this won't work on you, but this will. Body type, what's going to be your ritual now to stand your guest up and look at their body type so that the hairstyle fits? When a lady says to you, oh my gosh, it was too short, maybe it was out of balance for her face shape, but maybe it just made her body look too big in relationship. Age, facts, these are facts. A face is either going to sink or sag. A full face is going to sag. A bony face is going to sink. So you've got to always look at the cheekbones and the jawline are the coat hangers for the face. So how do you lift? And generally, as we get older, softness is very important. Clearly, we've got to understand the hair texture and density. We've got to understand lifestyle, budget of time and money, occupation. Are they their occupation, or do they have two lives, who they are professionally and their downtime? Fashion, is it important or is it not? And the level of femininity. All of this is in your consultation. So for those of you who are new to my world, I have a consultation form that I use. And it's actually being turned now into an app. And it allows for the most important questions to be asked consistently, to do a deeper dive into somebody's values, how they see themselves, how we see them versus how they see themselves. And so when you do this, I mentioned in the very beginning, 3 important things. A woman needs to feel safe, seen, and heard. This hits all 3 on a home run. And that's what makes this so great. So when we look at this lovely lady and we look from these different styles, now we don't know, you know, we haven't met her, but Misty said she's a massage therapist. So if she was to have a little bit of a perm put in her hair or whatever, I'm curious to know, put in the chat, please, which from a personality perspective would work for this lovely lady. All of these hairstyles work for her face shape, but tell me which one you think, based on her personality, would probably work the best for her. And Misty, I'd like to know from you, which one do you think, because you know her the best?
The number 1 seems to be more where she lives.
Yes.
But what we did is we cut inside, we cut all that old ucky color off, and that's why it's shorter this time.
I see. Yeah.
I wouldn't have cut it that, but the color was she wants to start embracing some of her gray in there. And so we did a low light, actually not dark low light, but a low light lighter than what she is, and a highlight in there. And so I look forward to when it fills out again, because the first haircut was really good, but the color was just really bad. So we did like a little summer cut right now.
Yeah. Okay, great. And all good and all good. But at the end of the day, guys, you are judged by what people see. And while social media, we're going to have a conversation around this, lady, while social media is fantastic and how you post mindfully on social media, what you put out there is your voice. It's your brand, it's your aesthetic, it's your style. Never compromise on social media. Never put something average out, because that's saying average is okay. You know, what you permit, you promote. So if you're saying, oh, that's all right, no, it's not all right. You get one chance to make a first impression, and never negate the power of someone seeing a gorgeous hairstyle in Starbucks. It's like, oh my gosh, who did your hair? So when we post, we want to be very mindful. So I just want you to do something right now with me. I want you to think of the most difficult client that you have. I just want you to think about her. And I just want you to put your hands on your head for a moment. I just want you to think about the most difficult client you have. Now, I want you to think about the most difficult client you have and put your hand on your heart. Now, I want you to think about that same client, the most difficult client you've ever had, and put it on your tummy. Misty, for you, thinking about a difficult client, which was the most dramatic? Head, heart, gut?
My gut.
Okay, yeah, fascinating. Kay, Rachel, Cora, Vicky, how about for you guys? What was it? Just curious to know.
Also got
Yeah. Does it make you feel a little sick?
Yes.
no,
Right.
just heavy.
Heavy. Okay, right. Thank you for that. Okay, now think about your favorite client who inspires you. You can't wait. So think about them now. Put your hands on your head and think about that beautiful client who's just a great personality, wonderful hair to work with. They so appreciate you. They bring you flowers. They're just so amazing. Just think about them. Now put your hand on your heart and think about that awesome client, how they make you feel so excited. You get so many recommendations from this client because she looks so amazing. Now let's go to the gut. An amazing client. How does it make you feel? The magic. Misti, for you this time, which was the strongest?
My heart.
Got it. Vicky, what was it for you?
Also heart.
Yeah. So when we go to gut, it's our survival. It's where stress lives, and it's our survival mechanism. We don't want to live there because when we live there, it's called anxiety. But it's a very important warning. Like if you were to go walk down a dark street, your gut's going to say, I don't think this is really safe right now. I need to move on, right? It's a gut feeling. In your heart is where your joy and your bliss are. And in your head, it's your rational thoughts that can get you into trouble and they can also get you out of trouble. So how we navigate through here is so important. And ironically, the consultation form that I use touches all three of those points. It does it for you. And that's what makes that so powerful. So now let's go back to this lovely lady. You saw before that we had all these great images, but look at how powerful it is when we just have two. Now, ideally, we want the head size to be the same, ideally, which would mean we'd have to scale back on the other shot because the lady's got lovely long hair. Lovely, lovely lady. Make sure that you study your photograph beforehand because it would have been great to have seen her eyes on the before picture. But lovely lady, a lot of hair, and let's go on her journey. So these are ones that would be working in the short zone for this lady. These all balance with a pear face shape. Can you see how they have all the volume on the top of the head? Now let's go to our ones that are still short, but a little bit more length. These would all suit that lady. Now we go to our mid-lengths. Face shape wise, these would all suit that lady. And then we come through to our long styles. All of these, based on the equation of the golden rule, would suit that lady. But we've got to take into consideration her age, her body type, her weight, her personality. We've got to take into consideration what does her hair do, etc., etc., etc. So when I look at this lovely lady, and I can see again, she's got a lot of volume in the lower part of her face. I know that Misti she's going to tell us a story about her, but I just wanted to show some other references for this lady based on the fact that she came in with very long hair. So Misti, give us the backstory about the A-line bob.
Well, she filled out the consultation form and on it said, was it the one that says, what do you like about your hair? And she put in, I like my curls and how thick it feels. And then what are the restrictions? She doesn't want layers. She likes A-line bobs.
Yes, yes, yes. So when we look at the totality of this lady, she was a full-figured lady.
Yes, yeah, on the smaller side, but still full-figured. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So I would stand this lady up, have her look at the back of her head standing up, and then vogue and bring that hair up, and then just show her what that does to her waistline and her hips, because one would have gained weight with the visual by doing a strong A-line. Now, what is the quality of her hair?
It's a lot, but it's fine and it's curly.
Yeah, and so she likes to go straight and with curls.
Yes.
So could you, on somebody like this, have done an undercut? Keep all of the hair, a longer hairstyle, do an undercut so that she could put her hair into a little pony or something, and she's got like a short little nape, and pull out a few pieces so she could have the dress work version of an A-line.
Didn't think of that.
So
like
if she's got a lot of hair, you could do a cute little undercut. You could do all the facial framing. She could put her hair up into a little ponytail or whatever, have all the framing around her face and she's got a fake version of it. But then
Right.
when the whole hairstyle drops down, she can go to something that's more body correct. That's what's important there. So let's go to the body correct for a moment. And the reason I'm saying no with some of these is because it would just make her too big. She's got a lot of volume in the face and you don't want the top being so big, otherwise it'll just get a little crazy. So let's look at this. When you're looking at the proportion for the average person, it's the head fits into the body 7 times. Now, if you do a blunt line in the back, you're going to add volume to the pear and the apple. If you do a shattered back, it's going to be much, much more flattering. So the lady on the lady with the silver hair here, when I cut her hair, she is so slender. She's like a size 0. I actually wanted to give her some volume because she's so tiny. She's a classic banana, very, very, very tiny. So when you're looking at this and you're looking at your apple, pear, or banana, you've got to make sure that that hair is being flattering to the body type, because we look at the totality of somebody, not just a walking head. And I think that's what's very important. So when we're looking at these face shapes and we're looking at where is the volume in the face and where is the narrow, does the narrow look attractive? Does the volume look attractive? How are we balancing that? That's what we want to be looking at always. So guys, you know what to do. Please subscribe to my channel so that we can continue to grow and give you more great content, and also share with your friends and family and even your loved ones. I don't know, that went crazy. Take an inspiration, and this particular hairstyle, did it on the mannequin first, then did it on model. And it's about, okay, how can I make it relaxed and undone? So for a young person, you can make it very much more undone, like on our model. But on a more conservative client, just the way that it's finished, just a little bit more conservative. So that's just in styling. But what that has is personality. So it's the personality of that hairstyle that's so important to really understand. At the end of the day, people want to be the best version of themselves. I believe it takes a long time to find what that is, because we spend most of our life copying somebody else as opposed to coming home to ourselves. And maybe coming home is, I just want to feel feminine again. Maybe coming home is, I've had to be a single mom, I've had to run a business, I've had to do so many challenging things, and I've had to wear my big man pants. And I've become such a strong woman. I've lost my feminine essence. It could be so many different things to what coming home means to you. Or it could be like, okay, I'm going to get stronger in my life. That's how I feel I can be my most authentic self. So that's a really important part of this. So as I said, when you are going through your consultation as the hairdresser, you really need to be very aware, is this my head? Is this my heart? Is this my gut? I pay great attention to the gut, because that's saying to me, you better be careful. She's saying, yes, do whatever you want, but she doesn't mean it at all. I don't believe it. So that to me is very, very important. So the know-it-all client, I understand how you feel. I felt that way too. But do you know what I found works really well? It still allows them to be the know-it-all. It still allows them to have that space. So yeah, I understand how you feel about having layers put in your hair. I've had many clients feel the same way. But I've felt that when I can actually put the layers in at the right place, what I have found is it really does work very, very well. Would you be prepared to just try 5% today? Wow. Can you hear the thunder and lightning? Oh my gosh, it's unbelievable. Right right now, I don't feel so safe. I'm in a storm. But anyway, the three primary emotions: to feel safe, to be seen, to be heard. The consultation that I give hits those important points. I promise you, when you do this, you could do an average haircut. Very average, a very safe haircut that suits most face shapes. There's some really average ones out there that work pretty much for any face shape. And you nail these three, you're a star. Now, nail these three and do a brilliant haircut. Oh my gosh. So let's look. We've got the visionary who says, Misti, you can do whatever you want. And then you get that visitor. Well, Misti, I've heard some really good things about you. I know you're the queen of makeovers, but I don't like layers, Misti, but I want this whacked off so tight here at the back that's going to make my ass look 3 times the size, Misti. And Misti puts on her lovely professional smile. And then Misti gets the resistor. Well, Misti, I've tried everybody in town and nobody can do it. So I'm coming to you as my last resort. Oh, that's so nice of you. They exist, right? Call them the way they are, but there's a different approach to all of them. And that consultation deals with every single one of these personality types. So let's look at this now. We have a quiz that's about to launch, which I want you guys to take to see where you are. So let's look at what a 1-star is, which I don't believe anybody here is. What are we doing today? What are we doing today, right? It's time to reevaluate. You're working hard, but facing disappointments and discouragement. Right? We've all been there, right? Let's look at number 2. No repeatable system, playing it safe with what the stylist likes. So you're doing what you like, what you feel safe with, not fully booked, inconsistent cash flow. So number 1, no system, playing it safe is number 2, doing what you like versus what the client likes. That's seen out there a lot, right? Number 3, a 3-star. A basic consultation, but hesitant to try something new because fear could be getting in the way. You're doing a lot of things right, but you're missing major opportunities. So Misti, from 1 to 3, we're going to move on, but have you had that in your past? Any of these? Oh, unmute yourself, darling.
Yes, all of the above. That's the old one.
When you came out of college, out of beauty school, which one would you have been here? Because maybe you didn't know that you didn't know.
The 3. Because the 80s and 90s were rocking and everything seemed the clientele back then were playful, curious. They loved you. They just loyalty, so different than what we have now. And it's harder to the clients are know-it-alls now type of thing. So
Yes. Yeah. So a 4-star hairdresser, best in your market. You should increase your prices and there should be a wait list to see you. That's where Misti is right now. She's entering the 4 zone. She will ask how they feel about their hair and give expert advice, which she is doing. Expert advice. She just needs a little bit more time to build up and attract a higher profile client to be able to, boom, kick it into 5. I do a full consultation. I give expert advice. 5 stars. You're the top number 1% hairdresser within your market, which I would have a sense you're pretty close to that now. Your expertise has been consistent over the decades. You're the real deal. So I feel that Misti's about to leave 4 and enter 5. She just needs more good high-level clients, which she's going to attract. She needs to be very particular about how she posts and where she posts. And she needs to believe in her gifts. She needs to have grace. and gratitude for herself and all the things that she's studied and how hard she has worked, she is the real deal. She is worth getting on a plane and flying to see. She is worth cutting off all of your hair. She won't mislead you. She is close to getting it. What we now have to add is body type. And then my ultimate thing for her would be to network with health experts in the fitness category, in nutrition category, to empower her ladies to be physically vibrant so that they avoid diabetes, heart attack, high blood pressure, and other issues related to being 50 pounds overweight. That is compassion. It's not vanity. It's compassion for we need to grow old together. The other thing that Misti needs to attract into her business is more young people so that she always has youth coming through that will treasure her. And she's getting the youth coming in, which is absolutely wonderful as well. So my question to you guys is, where do you rank? Really honestly, where do you rank and where do you want to go? I've always played with 5 stars, but I have to tell you, I've worked with some major hairdressers, and I'm going to call it the way it is, men, who could say, darling, I got you covered. No worries.
Thank you.
I've got you sorted out, right?
Hi, I have a neuro appointment at 9.
Oh, someone's
Little
not
girl?
muted themselves. Who is that? If you don't mind muting. Just make sure you're muted. Okay. All right. So let's just recap this. The 5-star system. The 1-star, time to reevaluate. You're working hard, but facing disappointments and discouragements. So you're not going to get the referrals, the retention, because the consultations are an issue. Number 2, not fully booked, inconsistent cash flow. Number 3, you're doing a lot of things right, but you're missing major opportunities. Number 4, the best in your market, you should increase your prices, and there should be a wait list to see you. And number 5, as I mentioned before, you're the top 100% of hairdressers in skill and talent. Your expertise has been consistent over the decades. You're the real deal. So those are hugely different. So I say, well, I've met some gentlemen who have been incredible, amazing artists, and they can use their charm and their personality to woo a woman, and she'll just agree because they have that power and that presence. And that's that beautiful dynamic of the male-female energy working together. When I've worked with top female hairdressers, I've worked with some who are very strong alpha females and they intimidate their client. And I have met a few that know how to be compassionate and caring and really dive into the client's mind, because it's about the client and not about themselves. And that is true service, true service. And service is not a dirty word, true service, to give, to share, and to be that place, that haven where a woman is seen, heard, and understood. That's where we need to go. So soon we'll have the quiz out, which will be super exciting, and you'll be able to see that. So, you know, remember, my excuses are endless, but my time is not. Lost time is never found again. I'm going to encourage you today to really invest more in some of the videos that are in this product, in this course, to listen to them more, to change and open your mind, to think about all the possibilities. Never use time as your excuse. You could always find time. Get up 10 minutes earlier in the morning, find time. You can do that. For a client who's saying, I just don't have time, I don't have time, it's clearly not important enough to them. When you can find what works for them and they can see the benefit, Misti said this, the why is so important. And that's when the magic starts to happen.
great service. And being open-minded more, working with the clients and giving better body, give them their body. That's where I got to go next, is putting the head on the body. And so that is where I'm at. And it's just I've been working on the feel safe, be seen, heard, that one's, in there. And my new habit is check my client's body's total look. That's what my big heart was, is that's where I need to go now.
Yeah. And guys, as I mentioned before, a habit is something you do repeatedly. You do it without conscious thought. You didn't think this morning, I'm putting on my trousers, I'm putting my right leg in first, then I'm putting my left leg, and then I'm going to zip them up. It's automatic. It's in your subconscious. And many of our hairdressing skills are in the subconscious. But there are things that need to be so conscious, so aware, because if you don't know your why, and you'll never get to the how. And the why is more important than the how. When you know why you're doing it, the motive behind it. Oh, I'm doing it because it's safe. Oh, I'm doing it because that's all I got time for today. I'm doing this because this lady is just so difficult. I'm just going to get her in and get her out. There's whys there. They're not healthy, but they're there. Attracting the people you want in your life is with intentionality. You have to be it to attract it. So if you want more creativity, you've got to do it in yourself. Be creative, listen to creativity, go on a creative journey. I was surrounded throughout my career by geniuses, so creative. They would come up with ideas all the time. This afternoon, I'm doing my mentoring session, which is about my career. And I'm going to take a really deep dive into some of the amazing things that happened when I first came to the United States. So if you're around later on, you can check that out. But it's knowing why you do what you do. And clearly today, when I asked you to do the exercise of ask your head, ask your heart, ask your gut, when it was negative, it was the gut. It was like, whoa, right? Which is a horrible stress point. But when it was something you were enjoying, it was the heart. So we need to create that in our world. And we create it on all touch points. When the client sits in your chair, the images that you take, how you're building your brand, it's your voice, and how you're going to refine it and upgrade it to be the best version of you that it can possibly be. Misti, thank you so much for being with us today. And thank you for sharing your clients with us who look absolutely lovely and delightful. So thank you to your clients, lovely, lovely ladies. And I congratulate you on your journey, your vulnerability, and how hard you've worked at this point in your career to reinvent yourself. Many people, when they get to the back end of their career, which you and I are in, we can let things slide. We've done it, been there. Yeah, let it slippity slide. But no, you have more inspiration and vitality than a 20-year-old coming into this business. And that's what's going to keep you young. And that's how you're going to grow your business. So thank you so very much.
You're very welcome. And I'm so honored to be here today to share and to give inspiration to my coworkers.
Yeah, excellent.
My friends, my family in there, because they do that to me. And, if I could teach somebody, I got that little bit of a teacher in me. And so I want to share.
Good. Well, guys, thank you so much for today. I hope you found this valuable. This will be posted, obviously, in our place where it lives. Write comments, ask questions, engage. The more you engage, the more you write things out, the more we all grow together, and that's what's important. Thank you so much, Misti. Thank you guys for being with us. Until next time, we'll see you soon. Bye for now. Bye-bye. Lots of love.
I gotta play it cool, you gotta look right. I gotta keep it smooth, you gonna want it right. They gonna